When Jungkook was seen leaving Calvin Klein's headquarters earlier today, the moment immediately became the epicenter of global discussion. Photographs and short video clips circulated across social media within minutes, creating a storm of speculation about what exactly was happening behind those glass doors. Was this a simple meeting between brand and ambassador, or was Calvin Klein preparing something monumental that would once again place Jungkook at the very center of the fashion world? For fans and industry insiders alike, the image of him stepping out of the Calvin Klein offices carried implications far beyond a casual visit. It hinted at a carefully orchestrated collaboration, possibly tied to the brand's highly anticipated fashion show this year. The timing of this sighting could not be more significant. Calvin Klein's upcoming fashion show has already been positioned as one of the most defining events of the season, not only for its designs but for the way it integrates cultural figures into its presentations. To see Jungkook associated so visibly with the brand right before such a major moment has naturally led many to wonder whether this was the prelude to a larger spectacle. After all, Calvin Klein has a long history of aligning its image with figures who embody boldness, confidence, and cultural resonance. In Jungkook, they have arguably found the most global example yet. For ARMY, the passionate BTS fanbase, the idea that Jungkook could appear on Calvin Klein's runway is both thrilling and nerve-wracking. This is not simply about fashion, it is about visibility, pride, and witnessing their idol extend his artistry into a domain that values presence and charisma as much as it values fabric and design. The question on everyone's mind then is whether Calvin Klein is preparing an event that has Jungkook not just as its ambassador, but as the centerpiece of a performance blending music, fashion, and spectacle. One must understand the power of context. Jungkook is not an ordinary celebrity. He has carried the dual weight of global fame and personal evolution in front of millions of eyes. Every decision he makes, whether artistic, personal, or professional, is interpreted through a lens of significance. His association with Calvin Klein was, from the start, more than a contract. It was a merging of identities. Jungkook, the global pop icon who embodies effortless charisma, and Calvin Klein, a brand built on minimalism, sensuality, and cultural dominance. So when Jungkook steps out of Calvin Klein's offices in New York, for that matter, it signals preparation. Fashion is not accidental. It thrives on anticipation, on whispers, on carefully leaked images that feed speculation. This sighting, therefore, may well be the calculated prelude to Calvin Klein's biggest statement yet, a fashion show designed not only to present clothing, but to redefine its cultural positioning through Jungkook's presence. Calvin Klein's shows are not known for unnecessary extravagance. Their strength lies in subtlety and in allowing simplicity to command attention. However, when a figure like Jungkook is involved, subtlety transforms into a different type of spectacle, one that thrives on contrasts. Jungkook, known for his stage intensity, could walk a Calvin Klein runway with the same quiet dominance that he brings to his music performances. His ability to shift seamlessly between vulnerability and authority would give Calvin Klein's presentation an emotional weight that transcends traditional fashion showcases. For many ARMY, this possibility creates a sense of both excitement and pride. Seeing Jungkook in such a setting would symbolize his journey beyond the boundaries of music, affirming his status as a global figure who can move effortlessly between industries. But for Calvin Klein, the stakes are just as high. By aligning their show with Jungkook, they would not simply be presenting fashion. They would be making a cultural statement that merges pop stardom with high design, ensuring that their event resonates far beyond the front row of Fashion Week. The secrecy surrounding Jungkook's visit to Calvin Klein HQ has naturally led to endless theorizing. Several possibilities emerge when considering what the brand could be planning. The most obvious and perhaps most anticipated possibility is that Jungkook will walk in Calvin Klein's fashion show. Such a move would mark a historical moment not just for the brand, but for K-pop and fashion globally. Few male idols have crossed over into high-fashion runway territory at this scale, and Jungkook's involvement would make headlines across every major publication. Another possibility is that Calvin Klein is preparing to unveil a campaign centered on Jungkook, with the show serving as the launchpad. Campaigns are often teased through fashion shows, with ambassadors appearing in ways that blend the boundaries between advertising and performance. Given Jungkook's previous campaigns for Calvin Klein, this could be the next evolution. An even larger scale project that positions him as more than just a model, but as a muse. Perhaps the most intriguing speculation is that Calvin Klein might be preparing a hybrid event that merges fashion and music, using Jungkook's dual identity as both singer and global icon. Such a performance would be unprecedented, but it aligns with the brand's reputation for pushing cultural boundaries. Imagine Jungkook performing live as models walk the runway, or integrating his music into the very fabric of the show. This would create an experience unlike anything the fashion industry has seen before. For ARMY, Jungkook's potential involvement in Calvin Klein's fashion show is more than just another career milestone. It is a deeply emotional moment, because it speaks to the way Jungkook continues to grow while carrying their support with him. Fans who have watched him evolve from a teenager debuting with BTS into a global figure now see him stepping into yet another arena, one that demands a different kind of artistry. There is pride in seeing Jungkook chosen by one of the world's most iconic brands, but there is also a shared vulnerability. Will he walk? Will he perform? Will this be another defining moment in his already extraordinary career? The uncertainty heightens the emotional stakes, transforming the wait for Calvin Klein's show into a collective experience for millions. From Calvin Klein's point of view, involving Jungkook is not only about visibility, but about aligning their identity with a figure who resonates globally across age, culture, and geography. Jungkook embodies modern masculinity in a way that challenges and redefines traditional norms. His presence sends a message that Calvin Klein is not simply a fashion brand, but a cultural institution capable of speaking to a generation that values authenticity as much as aesthetics. This is why today's sighting matters. It suggests planning, intention, and vision. Whether the result is a campaign, a performance, or a runway appearance, the decision to involve Jungkook in such a visible way confirms that Calvin Klein sees him as central to their global narrative. From Calvin Klein's perspective, the benefits of centering Jungkook in their fashion show are almost immeasurable. Fashion today is not only about design, it is about cultural impact and digital reach. With Jungkook, Calvin Klein secures both global attention. Jungkook's association guarantees worldwide coverage. Publications that typically cover fashion will be joined by music outlets, entertainment platforms, and even mainstream news networks in reporting on the event. Digital domination. Social media is central to fashion's modern ecosystem. Jungkook's mere presence generates hashtags, trending topics, and viral content within minutes. For Calvin Klein, this ensures their event does not just reach the traditional fashion audience, but penetrates mainstream global conversation. Brand alignment. By working with Jungkook, Calvin Klein continues to align itself with values that resonate with younger audiences: authenticity, confidence, and individuality. Jungkook is admired not only for his talent, but for his grounded nature, making him a figure audiences trust and connect with. Cultural fusion, involving Jungkook, bridges the gap between K-pop and Western fashion, creating a fusion that feels both modern and inevitable. Calvin Klein positions itself as a brand that understands and leads this cultural shift rather than following it. The uncertainty of Jungkook's role only fuels the speculation. Several scenarios appear plausible when imagining what Calvin Klein could be preparing. Jungkook as show opener or closer. The opening and closing spots in a fashion show carry symbolic importance. Having Jungkook in either position would make him the defining image of the collection. A surprise walk mid-show. Calvin Klein may choose to insert Jungkook as a surprise element, creating a shockwave of excitement halfway through the show. This would maximize audience reaction and social media impact. Front row with a twist. It is also possible that Jungkook's role is not on the runway but in the audience, where cameras will inevitably capture him. However, if his presence comes with a campaign reveal or interactive element, the impact could still rival a runway appearance. Performance integration. The boldest scenario would see Jungkook perform as part of the show itself. This could be a live performance or a pre-recorded integration of his music with the runway presentation, transforming the show into a hybrid cultural event. The emotional anticipation is not limited to fans. Industry insiders are equally invested in the outcome. Calvin Klein's decision to involve Jungkook, however it manifests, will likely be studied as a case of fashion and music integration at its highest level. Success would set a precedent for other brands, encouraging them to pursue similarly ambitious collaborations. The emotional stakes also highlight the shifting power dynamics within fashion. For decades, the industry was insular, valuing exclusivity above all else. Today, figures like Jungkook demonstrate that true exclusivity lies in authenticity and connection. Fashion houses must now embrace cultural icons who bring audiences with them or risk irrelevance. Jungkook's partnership with Calvin Klein has already delivered striking campaigns, but his potential role in the brand's fashion show feels different. Campaigns are controlled, curated, and carefully edited. A fashion show, by contrast, is live. It is raw, unpredictable, and immediate. To place Jungkook in that environment would be to showcase his charisma without filters, to let him command a stage that thrives on presence rather than production. This difference matters because it elevates Jungkook from brand ambassador to cultural collaborator. Instead of merely representing Calvin Klein, he becomes part of its artistic narrative. This is what makes today's sighting at Calvin Klein headquarters feel so significant. It suggests preparation for a role that transcends the boundaries of traditional celebrity endorsements. The stage is being built, both literally and symbolically. Jungkook's appearance at Calvin Klein's headquarters is the spark, but the fire is still to come. What Calvin Klein is preparing remains a mystery. Yet every sign points toward a moment designed to merge fashion, music, and global culture in unprecedented ways. For Jungkook, it may mark another boundary crossed, another world conquered with grace and authenticity. For Calvin Klein, it is the chance to cement their relevance in a rapidly evolving cultural landscape. And for fans, it is the promise of a memory in the making, an event that will be spoken of long after the runway lights dim. The anticipation grows with each passing day, and while uncertainty lingers, one truth is undeniable. Calvin Klein's fashion show this year is already unforgettable, even before it begins.